صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين فلا اقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات. So inshallah, I'll be giving the lecture for Eid Al Ghadeer. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحاب الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولى علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، قال الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته والله يعصمك من الناس والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate everybody on this auspicious occasion of Eid Al Ghadeer, for indeed it is a very blessed day and Eid especially for the Shia community. Everybody talks about Ghadeer as a day of joy, but the reality is very few people ask what happened before it. How did the hatred of Imam Ali alayhi salam start? Because as we know, there were over 100,000 witnesses at Ghadeer. So how could many reject it? And what happened after? And very few ask, how did we go from Man kuntu mawla fahadha aliyun mawla to the door of Sayyidah Fatima alayha salam being burned? So inshallah today we'll walk through this painful but awakening journey through the following stages. Number one, how did this rejection begin? What are the roots of the rejection of Imam Ali and the moment of Ghadeer, and why was it so clear? Number two, why did the Sahaba disobey the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after his death? Number three, Saqifa, the real political coup. Number four, how did the rejection of Imam Ali set the Ummah on fire for the ongoing generations? Number five, what happened between that 25-year period where Imam Ali's Khilafat was usurped from him? And what sermon in Nahj al-Balagha does he express how he felt and what he did during those 25 years? And number six, what does Eid Al Ghadeer mean for us today? And how can we be loyal to Imam Ali alayhi salam in this day and age? So if you allow me to begin, please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Number one, how did the rejection begin? When did they start hating Imam Ali? When did their jealousy begin to arise within themselves for Imam Ali to reject him on the day of Ghadeer? There are numerous accounts in history where we see their jealousy uprising, especially from his birth. For example, being born inside the Kaaba as a miracle, being stayed there for 3 days. People were shocked and few were jealous. Many of them, they were jealous not only because his birth was a miracle, but his name was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah told Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to name him Ali, from Allah's attribute Al-Ali. So we can see from his birth this hatred and jealousy had already begun. Furthermore, even if you go down to his upbringing, where the Prophet, when he was told to start revealing the message to his close relatives, he revealed to his family in a gathering that Imam Ali alayhi salam will be his wali and his wasi, to the point where many even mocked him and his father Abu Talib, saying, one day your son is going to rule over you. How do you feel about that? We can keep going and going throughout his childhood, but some main points and some main and crucial events that took place that brought their jealousy and hatred towards Imam Ali even more were in the battles, especially the battles of Badr, Uhud, Khandaq and Khaybar. We can see in the battle of Badr and Uhud that Imam Ali, he defeats many of the Quraysh elites. Many of those killed were actually relatives of the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Ali, he has a quote. He says, "My pain is not from the enemy's sword. My pain is from the betrayal of so-called friends." The people had ego, tribal pride and old grudges. Many never forgot what Imam Ali alayhi salam did to their ancestors in battle. Though they became Muslims, they never accepted him in their hearts. For example, we can see that in the story of Karbala, where Yazid, we all know this story, where Yazid, when he's playing with the lips of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says, "I wish my ancestors were here to see what I have done to the children of Yazid, to the children of Imam Ali alayhi salam." So we can see that people, even a few hundred years after, they never forgot. Even in the battle of Khaybar, Imam Ali was given the flag after all the others failed. For example, in the battle of Khaybar, we all know Imam Ali alayhi salam, he had an eye illness. Because of this eye illness, he couldn't fight in the battle of Khaybar. So the Prophet, after they seized all 7 forts, it was only Marhab and his castle left. So he told Abu Bakr to go. Abu Bakr went and came back and said, "I can't do it." So then he told Umar ibn Khattab to go do it. Umar did the same thing and ran away. So then the Prophet, he said, "Tomorrow I will give this flag to someone whom Allah and I love." The people, they never thought it would be Imam Ali because he had his eye illness. So they all thought it would be themselves. Many couldn't sleep that night because they were too excited. And they felt humiliated the next day when the Prophet, he gave the banner to Imam Ali after curing his eye, and Imam Ali sprinted and killed Marhab in one strike. Another reason where their hatred and their ego had overtaken them was because of the concepts of tawalli and tabarri. Imam Ali, he showed no political hypocrisy. He exposed wrongdoers even if they were close to power. Imam Ali didn't care that you were the governor, he would expose you if you were in the wrong. But one main event that occurred was 2 months before the Prophet's death, when Allah tells Jibreel to tell Rasulullah that his death is coming soon and he needs to complete his mission. He has 2 more things left to do. Number 1 was teach the people how to perform their Hajj. And number 2, reveal to the people who your successor is. For indeed, I do not take the life of a prophet until he has completed his mission. Where was Imam Ali at this time? Imam Ali was in Yemen. After the events of Mubahala, the Prophet had sent him to Yemen to complete 2 duties. Number 1 was to guide the people to Islam, and number 2 was to collect their taxes, their khums. Imam Ali, he was sent with Khalid ibn Walid and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Khalid ibn Walid, he is a revered warrior in the Ahlul Sunnah school of thought. And Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he was the arbitrator in the battle of Siffin, where Muawiyah, he says we need an arbitration. Imam Ali's army was already paid off by Muawiyah and his people. So Imam Ali's army, they chose Abu Musa al-Ash'ari to be the arbitrator. At the end, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he never conveyed what he was meant to. So the Prophet, he sent letters around saying to meet him at the outskirts of Mecca. Imam Ali, he received this letter. So he was on his way. And if you want to go from Yemen to Mecca, you walk past a place known as Yalamlam. They stopped at Yalamlam. And Imam Ali, he put someone in charge of his people. And he said, I want to go and rush and embrace the Prophet. So he goes, he embraces the Prophet. And he comes back and he sees the people that they are wearing the khums garments, because they were fine silk garments that they had collected in Yemen. The people were wearing them. So Imam Ali, he told them to take it off. Many of them refused. They said, we like these, we want to wear it. So Imam Ali disputed with them, and at the end he told them to take it off. So we can see that now their hatred towards Imam Ali is now increasing. Allah then reveals half of the verse of Surah Ma'idah, verse 67. يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته. O Messenger, convey everything revealed to you from your Lord. If you do not, you have not delivered his message. So in other words, everything you have done is not counted. We can see Allah, he doesn't reveal the whole verse for a reason. So now Rasulullah is waiting for Allah's protection. The Prophet, he told the people, those that didn't bring animals to sacrifice must take off the ihram. He tells them, and the only people that brought sacrificial animals were Imam Ali and Rasulullah. So we can see that the people, their jealousy towards Imam Ali had increased even more now. And few even refused to obey the Prophet when he told them to do this, including Umar ibn Khattab. So now their hate towards Imam Ali had increased even more. They kept complaining about Imam Ali to the Prophet. Now on Arafah, the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet gave a lengthy khutbah. And among what he said was the hadith of Thaqalain. I leave behind two weighty things, the Quran and my family, the Ahlul Bayt. So the people, they thought now he is going to reveal his successor. Everybody already knew it was Imam Ali. So to blur out what the Prophet was saying, they started making noise, standing up, calling out takbir, making rattling sounds, just to blur out what the Prophet was saying. There's even a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari that mentions that a man named Jabir, he hears the Prophet saying the hadith of Thaqalain. And he said after him will be 12 people. After him will be 12 successors. And then he didn't hear what the Prophet said after that. So he asked his father, and his father said that they will all be from Quraysh. So why couldn't he hear? Because they were making rattling sounds to blur out what the Prophet was saying, because they thought he was going to reveal his successor here. So throughout the whole Hajj, every time the Prophet, he gave a lengthy khutbah and mentioned Thaqalain, that started making sounds and trying to blur out what he's saying, so he doesn't choose Imam Ali as his successor. Now they are walking back to Medina. The people, they thought he was going to give it in Mecca during the Hajj pilgrimage. So since he didn't, now they thought that he was going to give it back in Mecca now, in Medina. Then on the way back to Medina, the Prophet stopped at a place known as Ghadeer. You guys all know this story, where he stops at Ghadir Qawm, and then Allah reveals the rest of the verse. Wallahu ya'asimuka minan nas. Inna Allah la yahdi al-qawm al-kafirin. Allah will certainly protect you from the people. Now the people can't make rattling sounds because they're least expecting it. So the Prophet, he brings the people, it's a hot sunny day, boiling. Some narrations say that the people, they had to, even the heat was going through their sandals, they had to step on their own cloths, their own garments. So the Prophet, he brings all these people and he says, the people that are back, told them to come, hurry up. And people that are forward, told them to come back. So the Prophet, he gathers all these people, over 100,000 people. According to a narration, it says 120,000 people. So he brings them all, and he says, Allahu mawla wa ana mawla al-mu'mineen. He says, Allah is your master, and I am the master of the mu'mineen. And then he asked the people, do you agree that I have more authority over you than you over yourselves? And the people says yes. So then the Prophet says, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla. So for whoever I am their master, then this Ali is their master. Everybody testified that yes, we heard this. Even Umar ibn Khattab. So the Prophet, after this event, he set up 2 tents. He said the people were meant to give bay'ah. The first tent had the Prophet in it, and the second tent had Imam Ali in it. They'd go and give their bay'ah to Rasulullah, then the Prophet would tell them, now go give bay'ah to Imam Ali. One of the first people to give bay'ah to Imam Ali was Umar ibn Khattab, and he said himself, congratulations, Ya Ali. You have become the Mawla of every believing man and woman. There was one individual that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he stopped. This was Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam. Abdul Rahman was one of those that gave bay'ah to Imam Ali. And after he gave bay'ah, Imam Ali called him back. And he asked him, are you sure you're going to keep your promise? And then Ibn Muljam says, yes, of course, but I have not seen you do this to anyone, so why me? Imam Ali, he didn't respond. He just said, I don't believe you, but go. So then what changed a few weeks later? Why did the Sahaba disobey the Prophet? Because if they saw Ghadeer with their own eyes, why did they still reject Imam Ali? This is one of the most important and under-discussed questions that we need to bring out. Point 1. Not everyone who accompanied the Prophet was loyal. Many Muslims, especially in the Ahlul Sunnah school of thought, they mistakenly assume that all Sahaba were pure and loyal. But the Quran doesn't say that. In Surah Tawbah, verse 101, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it says, وَمِنْ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ مَرَضُوا عَلَى النِّفَاقِ. And among the people of Medina are those who persist in hypocrisy. But these weren't random people. They were close to the Prophet, attending prayers, battles, gatherings, but their hearts were not with the Prophet. They were with Islam as long as it did not threaten their power or status. Point number 2. Power and tribal politics were never truly abandoned. Many of the Quraysh elites converted to Islam after the conquest of Mecca, after year 8, after Hijrah. Not out of love of Allah, for Allah, but because they knew they couldn't defeat Islam militarily. For example, many companions related to the Qurayshi chiefs were killed by Imam Ali alayhi salam in Badr, Uhud and Khaybar. They accepted the Prophet while he was alive, but could not accept Islam after him. Point number 3. The Prophet's repeated warnings were ignored. The Prophet clearly warned that after his death, many would turn back. He says in a hadith, soon after me, you will return to disbelief, striking each other's necks. We can see this is why he gives the hadith of Thaqalain to protect the people. I leave behind you 2 weighty things, the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt, and they will never separate until they return to me at the pond of Kawthar. You can notice how he said they will never separate. And we can see that those Qur'anists, they can never enter Jannah without the Ahlul Bayt, nor can the people with the Ahlul Bayt and without the Qur'an ever enter Jannah without both of them. So now we can ask a question about what happened on the calamity of Thursday, where the Rasulullah, he asks an individual to bring him a pen and paper, and he said no. He said, you are delusional and you are delirious. The Quran is sufficient enough for us. This was Umar ibn Khattab. The hadith of Thaqalayn, it's a mutawatir hadith, which means everybody should accept it. So then how can you follow someone who was a Quranist? Point number 4. The hypocrites had a plan long before Ghadeer. Allah says in the Quran, chapter 2, verse 10, Surah Baqarah, it says, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. In their hearts is a disease, so Allah increased their disease. Ghadeer wasn't the problem. It was the solution that many didn't want. Some companions were already preparing for Saqifa, knowing that the Prophet would soon pass away. Their plan was just to get rid of Imam Ali due to his age, blunt honesty, and no tolerance for corruption, and then create a rushed meeting at Saqifa, excluding the Ahlul Bayt. And then number 3, control power before the Muslims could respond emotionally to the Prophet's death. Because as we know, there were only 7 people. Imagine the best man in the world, only 7 people at his funeral. And that was only the Ahlul Bayt. That is why they took advantage of that. Now the Ahlul Bayt are not here, we can make our own khilafah with them before they can respond, because they're still burying the Prophet. And point number 5, Ghadeer was too direct. It threatened them. At Ghadeer, the Prophet publicly and explicitly made Imam Ali alayhi salam the leader. He even said, have I not more right over the believers than they have over themselves, as I mentioned before? And they replied, yes, Ya Rasulullah. Then he said the famous line, then whoever I am your master, then Ali is your master. So this threatened them. Now Imam Ali has authority over you than your own selves. That's not just love, that's authority right there. Some were happy to love Imam Ali, but not to obey him. Just like how Bani Israel were okay with Musa, but then when he gave his leadership to Harun, they rebelled. So, at a conclusion for this stage, it wasn't confusion, it wasn't doubt. It was ego, it was their jealousy, it was their worldliness, their attachment to this dunya and their feet. The Prophet, he himself, he said, Ali is with the truth, and the truth is with Ali. So rejecting Ali is rejecting the truth. Stage 4, the Saqifa, the real political coup. What happened after Ghadeer, before the Prophet was buried? This is one of the most controversial yet essential stages to understand. It is the moment where the command of the Prophet was put aside, not by disbelievers, but by his own so-called Sahaba. Point number 1, the Prophet's death was used as a political opportunity. The Prophet, he passed away on a Monday, because we know the calamity of Thursday, it's on a Thursday, 5 days after that was the Prophet's martyrdom. While his body was still being unburied, a group of companions gathered at a roof hall called Saqifa Banu Sa'idah to decide who should lead the Ummah. But why the rush? Why didn't they wait until the Prophet ﷺ was buried? Why weren't the Ahlul Bayt consulted? Because Imam Ali alayhi salam, Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Abbas, Salman, Miqdad and Abu Dhar and others were busy preparing the burial, while others were busy preparing for power. Why? Because they know they can't go against the Ahlul Bayt if they are there. Number 2, the Prophet had already appointed his successor. The Prophet had left no ambiguity about his successor. Ghadeer, he said, Man kuntu mawla fahada Ali mawla. And then the hadith of the pen and paper, bring me paper and ink so I may write down for you that which will not lead you astray. But Umar said the Quran was sufficient enough for us. Because Umar, he knew that the Prophet, he was going to write down the hadith of Thaqalain. So this incident shows a clear rebellion, a refusal to accept that Imam Ali alayhi salam was to succeed. Even the Sunni historian Ibn Qutayba in Al-Imama wal-Siyasa confirms the secrecy and conflict of Saqifa. Point number 3, Imam Ali was not invited. Imam Ali alayhi salam, the cousin, son-in-law and appointed successor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was left out. But when he found out about Saqifa, he says in the sermon that we are going to talk about, he says, by Allah, the son of Abu Quhafa, which is Abu Bakr, has dressed himself with the robe of Khilafah, and he knows that the position is mine. Number 4, Saqifa was a political move, not a spiritual one. Saqifa was not about the Quran or Hadith, it was about who had the numbers. The Ansar wanted leadership. The Muhajirun, like Abu Bakr and Umar, said, the Arabs won't follow anyone but one of us. No prayer, no dua, no reference to Ghadeer, just politics. So is this how the Prophet's mission was meant to end? In a vote, in a backroom deal? Even Sunni sources like At-Tabari and Al-Baladuri confirm that there was shouting, threat and even violence in Saqifa. Sa'ad ibn Ubadah, the leader of the Ansar, he was nearly killed because he opposed Abu Bakr. Number 5, what came after proves he was a coup. After Saqifa, what happened? Sayyidah Fatima goes door to door defending her husband's rights. She is threatened and attacked. Even the Sunni historian Ibn Qutaybiyah reports the door incident. Imam Ali is forced to stay silent to protect Islam. He is even dragged to the mosque by force to give bay'ah. Number 6, Ghadeer was erased from public memory. If Ghadeer was such a major event, over 100,000 witnesses, why was it never brought up during Saqifa? It was because it was inconvenient. Imam Ali referenced it many times. Did not the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, whomsoever I am his master, then Ali is his master? But the reply was silence. The crowd had moved on, it was too late, they couldn't do anything about it. This teaches us that the truth can be ignored if people's hearts are attached to the dunya. Number 7, the emotional reality. What did Sayyidah Fatima alayha salam feel? Imagine Sayyidah Fatima alayha salam, she's watching the people who hugged her husband at Ghadeer now rejecting him. Her father is still unburied and the ummah is already breaking. Her grief was not just personal, it was for the ummah's betrayal of the divine truth. She said in her own sermon, You claimed there is no strength except in Allah, yet you threw the book of Allah behind your backs. If Saqifa was legitimate, why wasn't it public? If Imam Ali alayhi salam wasn't the successor, why did the Prophet announce it at Ghadeer? Stage 5. What happened during that 25-year period of Ghadeer, and what sermon in Nahj al-Balagha does Imam Ali express how he felt during these 25 years when his Khilafah was usurped from him? In sermon number 3, the sermon of Shaqshaqiyya, which translates as the roar of the camel, Imam Ali, he speaks about what happened in those 25-year period, where Imam Ali, he chose silence over civil war. Right after Saqifa, Imam Ali was faced with two choices: demand his right with force, even if it split the ummah, or remain patient to protect Islam from collapse. So in his sermon he says, I kept myself detached from the Khilafat. Then I began to ponder whether I should assault or endure endure calmly the blinding darkness of tribulations. I found that endurance was thereon wiser. Imam Ali took patience over attacking. There's even a narration that says, even Abu Sufyan, he goes to Imam Ali and he says, why don't we go? We are ready. Let's go and fight for your khilafat. Where Imam Ali rejects his offer. Where Imam Ali, he also says, he's basically saying, I knew they stole my rights, but I chose silence, because the truth would survive longer if the ummah didn't fall apart. Point number 2, the emotional burden on Imam Ali. He opened in Nahj Balagha in Sermon 3, the Shaqshaqiyya sermon, he opens his heart and he says, by Allah, the son of Abu Quhafa dressed himself with the robe of Khilafat, and he knows that my position is similar to the axis in the handmill. The flood water flows down from me and the bird cannot fly up to me. Imam Ali, he knows that the world was deprived of the only one who could carry the Prophet's legacy without distortion. And yet he waited. He watched wrong decisions in governments, manipulation of the Sunnah, and corruption and nepotism spreading. He says in Sermon 3, I watched the plundering of my inheritance till the first one passed away. Then the second one handed over the khilafat to the third. And then he says, I remained patient although there was a thorn in my eye and a bone in my throat. Imam Ali is talking about how Abu Bakr, after his leadership, he did not choose Imam Ali, he chose Umar, and then Umar chose Uthman. Imam Ali, he describes his pain as a thorn in his eye and a bone in his throat. Number 3, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he used this time to build hearts, not fight battles. Not fight battles. Even though his political role was denied, he still taught deep Quran tafsir to those who sought it. He trained real believers like Ammar, Abu Dhar and Salman. He guided the confused privately, correcting the caliphs when they erred in judgment. For example, when Umar had any questions, he would go to Imam Ali if he didn't know what to do. And Imam Ali, he also had his duty to protect Sayyidah Fatima through the pain of her last days. Point number 4, Islam was preserved, but the spirit was slowly being lost. Many historical innovations happened during this time, where they banned the mention of Imam Ali alayhi salam in the khutbah. They even cursed him. They forced people to curse him on the minbar. They removed Hayya ala khair al-amal from the adhan. They were fusing politics with religion under Muawiyah's rule. And they were fabricating hadiths to glorify Banu Umayyah and suppress the merits of the Ahlul Bayt. But Imam Ali alayhi salam, he never abandoned his ummah. He continued to guide them in the shadows until the time came when chaos reached a peak. After the assassination of Uthman, the Muslims themselves begged Imam Ali to lead. In this same sermon of Shaqshaqiyya, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, at that moment, nothing took me by surprise, but the crowd of people rushing to me. It advanced towards me from every side like the mane of the hyena, so much so that Hassan and Hussein were getting crushed, and both the ends of my shoulder garments were torn. They collected around me like a herd of sheep and goats. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he accepted the role at the end, not out of ambition, but it was his duty. And then after his duty, when Aisha found out that he was now the leader, that's when the battle of Jamal happened. And then after that, the battle of Siffin. And then following that, the battle of Nahrawan against the Khawarij. So in the end, this 25 years was not a break. They were a battlefield of the soul. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he teaches us that sometimes you don't win by raising your voice. Sometimes you win by keeping the light alive until others wake up. He's teaching us patience rather than attacking. Stage 6, the rejection. How did the rejection of Imam Ali set the Ummah on fire? Number 1, the Ahlul Bayt were persecuted. After Saqifa, Sayyidah Fatima alayha salam had her house attacked, her ribs broken and her right denied, and Muhsin killed in her stomach. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was dragged by force, and then Imam Hassan alayhi salam was poisoned by his own wife, paid by Muawiyah, and then Imam Hussein alayhi salam was butchered in Karbala alongside his family. So in reality, if they accepted Ghadeer, would Karbala have ever happened if Imam Ali alayhi salam was followed? Every crime against Ahlul Bayt started from that one moment, which was the silence of Ghadeer. Subpoint number 2, the Ummah turned on itself. When the Prophet ﷺ died, he left a clear structure, not just in the Quran and Sunnah, but in the Imam. Without the Imam, chaos begins. Just within a few decades, the Quran was misused for politics. For example, in the Battle of Siffin, where Muawiyah, he tells Amr ibn As to go and put the Quran on spears. And then now the Muslims began killing each other in civil wars. Even the Kaaba was attacked by Yazid's army. Scholars were either bought or silenced. This is the result of ignoring the spiritual air of Rasulullah. Number 3, religion after Ghadeer became a culture, not submission. When Imam Ali alayhi salam was sidelined, Islam slowly became a label, not a light. Khutbahs were ordered to curse Imam Ali alayhi salam for over 70 years. Ahlul Bayt were called rebels and Banu Umayyah were called leaders. This began a trend that still exists today, that Islam becomes a tradition, not a transformation. Number 4, the fire spread because the fire starter was ignored. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, Ali is with the truth and the truth is with Ali. What happens when you exclude the truth from your society? For example, imagine removing an engine from a car and expecting it to drive. That's what the Ummah did when they left Imam Ali alayhi salam, the spiritual engine of Islam. They kept the body, which is the Quran, the masjids, the rituals, but lost the soul, which is wilayat, justice and sincerity. Even enemies of Islam gained power because of the internal collapse. Once the Ummah fractured, the Romans and Persians watched Muslims destroy each other. Then the hypocrites rose to power. Enemies like Banu Abbas and Banu Umayyah ruled in the Prophet's name while butchering his family. Even Sunni historians like At-Tabari record that the worst rulers in Islamic history wore the garb of Islam and spilled the blood of Ahlul Bayt. This was not accidental. It was the result of removing divine leadership. Number 6, in Nahj Balagha, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, "You will find me a silent mountain, but when it collapses, you will know what it was holding back." That's exactly what happened. When Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was pushed aside, the mountain fell, the flood came, which was tyranny, distortion of Islam and division. Today we have over 70 sects in Islam. Many still arguing over basic principles because the root was cut off. And frankly enough, that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions this, that after my death there will be over 70 sects of Islam and only one will go to Jannah. Number 7, today's disunity is the result of the rejection of Ghadeer. Why are the Muslims so divided today? Why do we cry for Karbala every year but forget the original betrayal that caused it? The Ummah today is filled with political division, spiritual confusion, loss of barakah, superficial Islam with no guidance from the Ahlul Bayt. Because once Imam Ali alayhi salam was ignored, we started walking in the dark. So what does it mean to accept Ghadeer today? Who is your leader today? Is it your ego, your culture, your nafs? Or is it Imam Ali alayhi salam in how you speak, how you treat your family, how you spend money and how you forgive? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he has a narration that says, our true Shia is the one who, when seen, people say this is the son of Ali. So how can we be loyal to Imam Ali alayhi salam in today's day and age? The reality is it's very simple. Just pray on time like Imam Ali alayhi salam. Just stand for justice even if it's uncomfortable. Love the Quran and speak the truth with wisdom. Teach children that being Shia is an action, not just slogans. So we ask Allah to be a friend of those who befriend Imam Ali alayhi salam and an enemy of those who oppose him. And we should remember that Ghadeer is not just a celebration, it's a test. Will we obey the Prophet's last order, or will we repeat the mistake of those who betrayed it? Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.
MashaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So inshallah we'll do our Kahoot quiz with Jawad. You're going to be first, inshallah. Please sign in for Ghadeer quiz. We have a prize of some books donated from Islamic Lessons Made Easy, inshallah. For a prize, 5 books, I think it is. Yeah, 5 books of tafsir. So everyone join. We'll just wait for some participants. Come on, Jawad. Let's do it. Where's your phone? Where's your dad? Let's do it. Who doesn't have a phone? Very good. We're waiting. A few more. Hajj. Oh, what? Test your quiz about Ghadeer. And it's not just about right answers. Again, it's about being fast. Yeah? Quiz. Being speed. Where did our brother Hussein go? Amir Hussein. Where did he go? Disappeared. Where's Amir? Maybe buffering. Very good. Wait maybe another 30 seconds and we'll join. Get ready, get involved, kids. All right, even if you don't have a phone, you're going to answer the questions. Ready? Good. Let's see if you are. You know the answers. What's not? Okay, you want to use my phone? Okay, here we go. Some more people coming. Okay. Hamad, you're MH. Yes, yeah, you can all share together. No, you can cheat. It's fine. I'm just going to leave this open so I can communicate with you. Okay, everyone ready? Yes. Okay, Bismillah, let's start. Here we go. Kahoot at work. Celebrating Ghadeer, inshallah. Ghadeer Khum, the pond of Khum. What remarkable event happened during the birth of Imam Ali alayhi salam? What happened? An elephant walked past. That one is the correct answer. A bright star appeared, a meteor struck, or the walls of the Kaaba opened. Which one is it? Too long. Very good. Everyone got it right pretty much. Very good. An elephant walked past. That was not the right answer. I was joking. Yeah, true. Exactly. You're right. It could have been right. That's true. What was the event? Why was the event of Ghadir so important? Imam Ali was appointed to lead Mecca. The Prophet announced his retirement because there was a pond nearby, or Imam Ali was declared the Prophet's successor. Which one is it? You have to be quick, yeah? It's not just about the right answer. It's about being quick. Very good. Bahram, very good, mashallah. What command did the Prophet, peace be upon him, receive from Allah at Ghadir Khum? To announce a new prayer time, to return to Medina, to write down the Quran, or to appoint Imam Ali as his successor? Which one is a trick question or not really? This one's...
The right answer is the halal meat.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I didn't put everything green. Kahoot does things randomly. Very good. Very good. What major event happened just... Does it make sense here? What major event had just happened, had just completed before the Prophet stopped at Ghadir? Hudaybiyah, the building of Masjid Al-Nabawi, Battle of Badr, or the Prophet's farewell pilgrimage? For some reason, today's green day. Yeah. The same elephant. Did I put elephant here? No, I didn't. You know, the masjid here is green. Maybe there's a sign here for us. Haidar took lead here. Very good. Hamad's gone down to fourth. Okay. What month in the Islamic calendar did Ghadir Khum happen? What month? Muharram, Dhul Hijjah, Ramadan, Shawwal. Easy one. What month are we in now? That's what we have to think about. It is Dhul Hijjah. Very good. Most people got that right. Excellent. Let's see who's on the board. Haidar's still on top. Good. What year did the event of Ghadir Khum happen? 10, 9, 11, 8 after Hijrah. Oh, look at that. 10. Shh. Stop yelling here. 10. Very good. That was a tricky one. Question 7. What does Ghadir mean? Restaurant, mountain, desert, pond. Restaurant.
There is a restaurant.
Yeah, yes, in Auburn. Yes. I think, no, sorry, that's Khaybar. No, sorry. Very good. Okay, Bahram's first. 2.0 is on fire. Okay, next question. Next question, Ali. Very good. How did the Prophet, peace be upon him, make the announcement at Ghadir Khum? By performing a miracle, he gave a speech, by sending a messenger, or he wrote a letter. So in Ghadir, he's given a speech, or did he send a letter?
He sent a letter. He was trying to give to people everywhere.
Yeah, he sent pamphlets to everyone, yeah. Text message, yes. Who was Imam Ali alayhi salam in relation to the Prophet? Was he his successor, his son, his cousin, all of these? Which one? All. Very good. All of them. Trick question. What exclusive title did Imam Ali alayhi salam receive in Ghadir? Asad Allah, Abu Turab, Ya Ali, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ya Ali, the exclusive title for him. Which one? Y.A. Ali, yes, true. Oh, Ali. And the answer was Amir al-Mu'mineen. Very good. Okay. What significant phrase did the Prophet, peace be upon him, say at Ghadir Khum? I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. Seek knowledge even as far as China. For whoever I am his leader, Ali is his leader. The ink of scholars is more sacred than the blood of martyrs. Which one is it? These are all narrations from the Prophet, and one of them is correct. Haidar is taking a big lead there. Deliver what is sent down to you from your nurturer, and if you do not, finish the sentence. I have accepted Islam as your religion. Allah will protect you from the people. You would have completed his mission. You would not have delivered his message. Which one is a trick question? So straight after you have to complete it. You would not. Yeah? You would not. That's how it starts. Very good. After Imam Ali was chosen successor, what happened? All people congratulated him. Allah perfected religion. All of these. Or all people gave oath of allegiance. Which one is it? Oh, you went too quick there. All of these was the correct answer. Very good. What verse of the Holy Quran was revealed before the Prophet's announcement at Ghadeer? What verse? So I'm not going to give any hints here. You have to know the numbers. It's 5 something. Let's see. Read the question. Before. It doesn't say after. Good. 5, 6, 7. Ooh, 2.0 went up. What does the word Mawla in the Prophet's statement primarily mean in this context? Master and leader, owner, companion, servant. Which one is it? Really good guy. Yeah, I didn't accept that even as a meaning, so I took it off. Oh, very good. 2.0. Last question. Who was the first person reported to congratulate Imam Ali at Ghadeer? Who was the first one? Umar, Salman, Uthman, Abu Dhar. Who was the first person reported? This is reported. Not. So who is it? Umar, Ibn al-Khattab, Salman. Oh, very good. Most people got that right. Let's see his first. Third, 2.0. Second is Ali. Don't tell me Haidar came first. I can't give Haidar prizes if it is. Ah, mashallah. So, you want to give it the second prize? Okay. So, Ali J. Oh, really? Ali J, come get. Ali J, this is for you. You have a second. Last week you won as well, didn't you? MashaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have some cake outside. So please, we'll head ourselves outside and we'll see you soon, inshallah. MashaAllah.